Hello, my friends. Well, today it's another rainy day. Our month of March was awesome, sunny almost every day. April, not so much. Anyway, today I'm going to talk about 3 tips that are helpful for van life. The first one is something I saw in one of the Vanlife Facebook groups. If you have those LED recessed lights, okay, now it depends on which kind of light you get. If you get the ones that are like that thick, so it's round and it's about that thick, about that wide, right? Maybe a little bit thinner, maybe not, maybe thick isn't the right word, maybe I should say height. When you put those in your roof, what's happening to your insulation? I can tell you what's happening. Your insulation has to be removed, depending on how much you have. Now, if you have a lot of insulation, my current van has about 3 inches of polystyrene, polyiso. My future van will probably have like 4, maybe 5. I don't know, I haven't really figured it out yet. But there's like 81 inches from floor to ceiling, so I don't want to waste all that volume. You have to heat and you have to cool and everything else, so if it's not being used, reduce it. But anyway, with the recessed light, the LED light, when you put it in, you're losing, say you only have like 1.5 inches. Most people use like 2 inches, 1.5 inches of insulation, right, of the foam board. If you cut it out and now you have like either nothing or a very small amount of insulation where the light goes into, you're going to have problems with dripping of moisture, or condensation, and water dripping. And that's exactly what happened to this fellow who had a beautiful, I think it was a ProMaster, and that's exactly what happened to him. Now, keep in mind, he's in a particularly cold climate. I think he was in Chicago or something like that, where it's quite cold in the winter, of course. If you're like in the southern states, or you can follow the weather, it's not such a big deal, right? But if you're where you or it's cold a lot of time of the year, or it gets very cold, you want your insulation to be uniform and thick all the way through. Otherwise, you're going to get drips. So that's tip number 1. Tip number 2 has to do with food. Now, I'm probably going to get some flack from some people, and I know I will, but I'm going to say it anyway. Margarine is something that I eat. I have it on a regular basis. If you can eat potatoes just dry, then power to you. I'm not one of those people. I like a little bit of margarine or on my rice or whatever. It's just more flavorful for me. So with margarine, you do not need to refrigerate it. You can simply put it in a tub. Like I use a small square thing. I'll show you here the picture. I use a small square container, and I put the margarine in, and then all you have to do is keep a little bit of water on the surface of it, maybe 1 centimeter or more. The more the better, probably. I don't know. Does it matter? I don't know. But if you keep some water on top of the margarine, you're stopping air from getting to the margarine, and it does not go bad. It will go bad eventually, I'm sure. Maybe not, actually, because it's margarine. And they say it's only a few atoms away from being plastic or something, so they say. I know it's not healthy, but I do like to have some margarine sometimes. So that's what I do. I keep my margarine in a little tiny container and fill it with water, and it doesn't go bad. So that is tip number 2. Tip number 3, it has to do with your kettle. I think I mean, it depends on what you want to do. I mean, some people are like, no, I gotta have like 3 or 4 pots, and I gotta have this, and I gotta have that. And other people are like, I want the minimum possible. I'm kind of in the second camp. So a tip is, instead of using a kettle to boil water for your coffee or for washing up or whatever you want to use the hot water for, you can buy a pot, a small pot, with a spout in it. And now it's easy to pour without making a mess. I find if it doesn't have a little spout, maybe spout is a wrong word. I think it's spout. But they're kind of like a little triangle thing off the side of it. The water pours out easy. And now you can put a lid on the pot, pour it out, and now no mess. And you don't need to carry a kettle because you use the pot that you cook your food with. Now, I bought this pot from Amazon, and it's stainless steel, and it's from Austria. It's very well made. It was fairly expensive, I have to say, but that's when I was footloose and fancy free with my money a bit more, and now I'm Johnny Tightwad. So I don't know if I will buy it again, to be honest, but a lot of these pots, they don't come with a lid, which is like, hey man, if I'm gonna have a pot, I need a lid. You know, cooks the food faster, boils water faster, everything is better with a lid. But luckily, the pot that I used to have had a lid that was close enough that it fits. Actually, the other reason I got rid of that other pot, my first pot is a red pot, had the white ceramic stuff inside. That ceramic stuff is not good. I know some people use it, but inevitably it's going to get, the coating's going to get scratched off, and apparently the stuff underneath it is really unhealthy to ingest. So when I learned about that, I thought, okay, I'm going to do 2 things. I'm going to get a pot that is stainless steel, not aluminum. Aluminum can be carcinogenic. And so they say, don't get down that rabbit hole. And so I wanted it to be stainless steel, and I wanted it to have a lid, and I wanted it to have a spout. Little divot on the side. When I first saw this thing, I was like, man, this spout, is it even there? I had to look for it, but it is there and it does work. Speaking of minimalism, in terms of cookware, I almost bought a plate. I haven't owned a plate in almost 4 years. And the reason I thought, man, I need a plate, because I cook my food and like everything really retains the heat, right? Because it's a small pot and it's deep. So all the food is below and it's super hot. And I'm like, man, this is taking forever to eat because the food's too hot. So I thought, maybe I need a plate. I can dump the food out. More surface area will cool down faster. I thought, wait a minute, I don't need a plate. I'll just use my frying pan, which I don't use very often. And so that's what I'm doing. Dump it into the cast iron frying pan. There's my plate. I will probably buy a plate in the future. But right now I'm kind of tight for space, and you know, if I get my Transit, hopefully I'm still thinking about it in the future, then I will make it so that I can fit a plate into it. You know, how big's a plate? This big? I like that thick. Really not a big deal. Hello, these are my ponies.
Those are not your ponies, they're mine.
Who are you, and how did you get in this house? Alright guys, well there you have it. 3 things to make van life perhaps a little bit better. Tips, hacks, whatever you want to call it. Thanks for watching, and be well, my friends.